The ego starts to take you seriously the more you show it what you're willing to do, which is exactly what it, in my experience, does not want you to do. So you want to fight your ego and have a breakthrough. All right, here we go. If you're anything like me, as you move closer to your goals, it starts to feel like your ego has literally set up a machine gun on a hill and is willing to mow down yourself, the part of you inside that knows the right path, just out of pure desperation. Does that feel familiar? So you see, once our self, the part of us inside that is all-knowing, our guide, as Carl Jung, the famous psychologist, described it, gives us a path to move forward on that we've tuned into, we would expect that our ego, the driving force behind our own personal power, would collaborate with us, would want to help us move forward into new territory, into achieving goals. But if you're like me or any other human being out there, what you encounter is resistance. And this is a concept I gleaned from the author Steven Pressfield from this book right here called The War of Art. I highly encourage you to read it if you haven't yet. The main construct here is the simple fact, and this was a turning point for me, that when you're on the right path, you will actually encounter more resistance the closer you get to your goals. For me, for example, when I did things such as drop out of graduate school a couple times, I thought I was moving toward what myself, the all-knowing part of me, knew was the right thing to do. And in hindsight, after reading Pressfield's book and a few others, doing a lot of writing, things like that, I realized that it was actually my ego that was so desperate for maintaining the status quo. And the status quo in most of our lives is the ego keeping control. The ego knows how we've been doing things, it understands our track record, and it knows what we're probably going to do next. So, because this is such an old biological and psychological mechanism for keeping us safe, essentially, when we were being chased by massive animals and the risks outside in the wild were huge thousands and thousands of years ago, the ego is doing us a service by protecting us. But now what's happening when we have infinite opportunities in front of us, and this knowing part inside of us, what we describe as our self, understands where we need to go, the ego sees this as a threat. And it is that simple. So the breakthrough for me, and the way you can have a breakthrough, is by understanding to expect resistance as you move toward these goals that your self is showing you. And what becomes very apparent, even making this video is a perfect example of this. The phone died, the laptop died, the light died, there was some noise outside. I'm sure this has happened to you. All kinds of obstacles get put in front of you so that you don't move forward on anything that isn't the status quo. As we move forward following ourself, we expect to be pushed from behind like a tailwind. And what happens is the resistance comes towards us more and more as we push forward away from the status quo. That was the breakthrough for me. I thought the resistance was telling me to stop doing something when it was actually my ego saying, there's no way this is happening. I've loaded up the machine gun and we're keeping things exactly as they are. Let me know if you've had this experience. And here's how you can deal with that. The ego starts to take you seriously the more you show it what you're willing to do, which is exactly what it, in my experience, does not want you to do. You have to wake up and say, I'm doing this today, whether you like it or not, and this is how we're moving forward. First off, You have to expect the resistance. If your self is guiding you towards something you in your gut know to be true, start expecting things to get in your way that you will have to push through. That's the first thing to do. The second thing to do is just understand and believe that you are on the right path and keep moving forward little by little. This is also called trusting yourself. The third thing to do is, as you are what I would call picking a fight with your ego, you have to just embrace the idea that you actually are in control, and ego, self, psyche, etc. are actually all just English words that we have given to things we are all experiencing, emotional experiences we are all having. I believe these are parts of our psychological makeup, but remember, you are running the show every day. And if the ego wants to pick a fight with you, you will win if you decide you're going to win against the ego. If you liked this video, you'll like my newsletter, which is where I give you all kinds of tips, tricks, and hacks for simply improving your life. And if you want to figure out how to stop scrolling on your phone, push against your ego, and start making some art or some videos or some writing or some content, check out this video right here, and we'll see you again soon.